Instead of being taught how to hop off the hamster wheel and divest from a consumer-driven culture, one that keeps pulling us deeper into debt and further away from our dreams, we're given advice on how to manage debt and work within the boundaries of the system. The financial house we live in today is built upon debt. We are led to believe that debt is normal, if not a point of pride. Look at my fancy house and my expensive degree. But the truth is that debt has been used to suppress the economic advancement of our people for generations. If we're going to experience financial freedom, we've got to let this system go. So those are direct quotes from this month's book club read, The Black Girl's Guide to Financial Freedom by Paris Woods. This book ultimately is about acknowledging that you are in debt and different ways of debt that maybe you were taught are normal, and how to get out of debt, and then how to build money and create a life that you want to live. So let's get started. So this book is divided into two parts. The first part is all about debt, and it starts with this quote, "The master's tools will never dismantle the master's house." So the book talks about debt, and it compares it to being on a hamster wheel, and most people are stuck on this wheel of debt, and they'll just stay on it for the majority of their life. And either they're stuck on it because they don't know how to get off, or they think that debt is so normal that they don't even realize that they're in a hamster wheel. They just think that this is life. And for me, I would definitely say that I agree with her as far as most people are in debt and it seems normal. So in the book, there's different chapters on different types of debt. The first one talks about credit cards and how those are a trap, and most people fall into that trap. She talks about how she opened her first credit card when she was 17 or 18, and it was because she was going to college and she needed supplies for college. And she didn't have the money. No one in her family had the money, but she went to these stores and they were like, "Oh, just open up a store credit card and now you can have the money." And she did that. And she did that multiple times. So she walked into college with debt. And I think that's a very easy thing that can happen to people. That happened to me, or almost happened to me. I was younger than 17 or 18. I was like in middle school or early middle school. I think I was like 12 or 13, and I was in a store and I was paying for something, and like my parents were with me, but I think they'd already gone to the car, so it was just me at the cash register. And the salesperson was like, "Hey, do you want to open up a store credit card?" And she was like, "It'll save you money." And I was like, "Okay." And she tried to open up a card for me, and it didn't, like, I wasn't approved because I was 12 and I didn't have credit. But now thinking back at that, number one, like, how predatory is that? Like, I am 12 and I'm someone who I feel like I've always looked younger than what I actually am. So if I'm 12, I probably look like I'm 8 or something. Like, and you tried to open up a credit card for me. Like, this should be illegal. This should definitely be illegal, but I guess it's not. I don't know. But yeah, I think that it's very easy to fall into the system of credit cards, relying on credit cards if you're not careful. And even if you are someone who does understand how credit cards work, and you do understand the interest, and you know that you need to pay it off, there's a lot of psychology that comes with money, right? And so even if you're someone who understands, like, oh yeah, you need to pay this off every month, it's easy to fall into this trap of, oh, I can't do it all this month, but I really want or need this thing, so I'll put it on the credit card and I'll pay what I can. And that is a very slippery slope. It's a very slippery slope. And before you know it, you could be in way over your head. It's possible for anybody to fall into that trap. And it is definitely a trap. So as far as credit cards go, she gives the advice of, number one, deciding if you even want to have a credit card. You don't have to. Like, no one is forcing you to get a credit card. So one, make the decision for yourself if that's something that you want to do. And if the decision is no, just understand that it could impact your overall credit score. Or if you choose to just not have any debt at all, you'll have a credit score of 0. Having a credit score impacts all these different areas of your life. And I feel like the only people who can get away with not having a good credit score are rich people. Like, just because you're rich doesn't mean you have a good credit score or a credit score at all. So I feel like those are the only people who can really get by without having a good credit score. That's a decision for you to make if you want to have a credit card or not. If you decide that you do want to have a credit card, you need to come up with a strategy and a plan for how to use that credit card and how are you going to pay it off every single month. And also, don't use your credit card as an emergency fund. That's not what they should be for. Instead, you should build an actual emergency fund and put it in a savings account and make sure that it has 3 to 6 months of living expenses. And then she also talks about other forms of debt that I think are completely normalized in today's society. So one, having a car loan. She challenges the reader to really think about if you truly need a car. There are some parts of the country that have really reliable public transit. So if you live in an area like that and you have a car, do you really need the car, or are you just keeping it around for convenience? Because with a car, it's not just the car loan, it's the maintenance, it's the insurance, it's registering the car every year, it's new tires, it's the oil change, it's putting gas in it. Like, there's all these different fees basically for owning a car. So really thinking through if you need to do that. And if you don't live in an area that has reliable public transit, would it be possible for you to get by with using like a ride sharing program, like taking Lyft or Uber to places that you need to go, carpooling with someone else, maybe if you have a bike, using a bike instead. So she presents all these different options and really challenges you to think through if it's truly a necessity for you to have a car. And if you decide that yes, it is a necessity for you to have a car, then she encourages you to only pay cash for a car, and also don't buy a new car, buy a certified pre-owned car. Now, the idea of buying a car cash seems like a far-stretched idea. You know, it doesn't seem as doable. And she says that if you can't afford to buy a car cash, then you can't afford to buy that car. So find a car that you can afford to buy cash and have that car, and then work your way up from there to get a nicer car later, and then, you know, keep upgrading cars eventually, but always making sure that you could pay cash. Me personally, in theory, that sounds great. In reality, I think that would be harder to achieve. So it could be, it's doable. But I do think that it'd be harder to achieve. What do y'all think? Like, do you think that it's, like, how hard do you think would it be for you to buy a car cash? And what type of car would that be? She also has similar ideas around student loans. So that is something that's very normal. I have student loans, but she says that it's definitely possible to not have to get student loans to further your education. So there's different types of scholarships. There's merit-based and then need-based. Merit means you have some type of talent, and so because of that, they give you a scholarship, whether that is academic talent, you got really high grades, maybe you play in the band, or you play a sport, something like that. So a merit-based, and then need-based is based on your financial situation. There's scholarships that the school can give you, there's scholarships that the state can give you, there's scholarships that the country can give you, and then also look into different organizations. Those can give you scholarships as well. If you are a member of a church, maybe your church has a scholarship. So she really just encourages you to get like as creative as possible. If you want to go to grad school, instead of just signing up for loans, look into different companies, and those companies may pay for you to go to school. And if all of those things don't work, one other thing, especially like for undergrad, a lot of people want to go to like a 4-year university immediately. And I get that. There's a lot of like, cultural reasons. Maybe you want to go to a 4-year school, the networking, the making friends, stuff like that. But if that's not as important to you, you can start at a community college and then do 2 years there and then transfer into a 4-year school and finish your degree there. That is a great way to save money on your education. Kind of like getting a 50% discount if you want to think of it that way, because community colleges are way more affordable than the 4-year schools. And if none of that can work out, she suggests just paying cash, again, to go to school and slowly getting your degree, going to school and working at the same time. But she really encourages people to just avoid student loan debt altogether. And this is also someone who she had credit card debt, she had a car loan, and she had student loans, and she worked hard to pay all of those off. So she talks a lot in this book about giving back and educating people. At the end of the book, she talks about how her mom always had this advice of making new mistakes. So don't repeat the same mistakes that other generations made. Learn from them, and so that you don't repeat those, and you can go on your own path where you'll ultimately make your own new mistakes. But when you make your mistakes, then you do the same thing and teach younger generations so that they don't do what you did. So I ask again, who thinks that it is possible to go to undergrad and grad school, possibly a doctorate degree? Who thinks that it's possible to do those things without going into debt, without getting student loans? I'm really curious to see how many people think that they would be able to do that. Or if it's too late for them, you know, they've already made their decisions. Like, it's too late for me, I already have my student loans. Is it possible for, like, I have nieces and a nephew, would it be possible for them to go to school and not have student loans? And in order to get out of debt, she compares it to the movie Get Out, and the sunken place is being in debt. And she tells you, like, you got to fight your way out of that. And the steps to do that is to, one, acknowledge your debt. So go and make a list of all the different things that you have that you owe. Is it a mortgage? Is it your car? Is it your student loans? Is it medical debt? Is it consumer debt? You know, all these different things, and find out what that number is, and then come up with a strategy to pay off that debt. So I've talked about it in different videos before. You can do the snowball method of a debt payoff, which is where you would pay your smallest debt first, like pay that off first, and then use that money that you were using for that smaller debt, snowball that into the next smallest debt, and keep going and keep building until all of the debt is paid off. Or you can do the debt avalanche, which is where you pay off the one that has the highest interest rate first. How you do it is completely up to you, whatever works best for you. But the point is just to pay off the debt in whatever way you can. So that was part one, acknowledging you are in debt, knowing all the different types of debt that you have, and paying it off. So part two of the book starts with the quote, "Become so absolutely free that your very existence is an act of rebellion." So not only are we getting out of debt, but we are going to find a way to create a life that we want to live. So chapter 5 is called Dream. What is your dream life? If you woke up today and you could decide what you would do all day, what would you do? What is your version of an ideal life? She wants you to think about that, like really, really think about it. It may take you some time to think it through, and then write it out like a journal, or maybe not a journal, but just a piece of paper, but write out what your dream life is. And don't just write out what your dream life is, but challenge yourself and ask yourself, why is that your dream life? And when you ask yourself why, that's basically just gonna like drill in deeper into the meaning behind things. And when you have a deeper meaning, it can just help you decide even more what you want out of life. And once you have an idea of what you want that dream life to be, in order to prove that this is actually what you want to do, come up with like a small step to kind of like pressure test if this is really something that you want to do. She talks about her friend who wanted to be a lawyer from the time she was like a kid, and she went through all the steps. She went to college, she went to law school, and she didn't actually test out being a lawyer until she was actually a lawyer, and she realized that she hated it. And she just spent however many years going down this path only to realize it's not what she actually wanted to do. So in the book, she talks about trying to test out this dream life. Now that you know what you want your dream life to be, how are you going to get there? Money. You need money. You need money, basically. So chapter 6 is about earning. So she encourages you to, like, whatever industry you're in, find out different high paid positions in that industry and then see how you can get to that point. That's something that I love to do. Even before being laid off, I would still look at job descriptions so that I can see, especially ones that have the salary. I would look at job descriptions that I may not be qualified for, like maybe they're a level or two above me, but I can see like, oh, if I continue down this path, get deeper into this industry, get more experience, deepen skill sets, things like that, this is the salary that is waiting for me. I just got to get there. So yeah, try to increase your salary as much as you can in your industry by either asking for a raise or getting a new job entirely. If it's harder for you right now to bring in more income, then maybe switch your focus, or at the same time focus on both. Reducing your monthly expenses, especially your biggest expense. For most people, housing is going to be their biggest expense. And while you're earning more, learn how to budget so that you know how much money is coming in and you know where that money is going. And you can also prioritize saving and investing, which leads into the next chapter. But basically, make a budget line to save and or invest, because you should pay yourself first. Instead of paying your landlord or your mortgage company, paying Honda, paying the doctor for that medical bill, whatever, before paying them, you need to pay yourself. So that emergency fund that we mentioned earlier, putting money into that, or investing, which is the next chapter. So America, it's a capitalist society, and it's a capitalist society that rewards or benefits the shareholders of companies, particularly successful companies. And when you invest, buying into the stock market or buying what's called index funds, you are becoming a shareholder for one of those companies. So you then will be rewarded when those companies are successful. And being a shareholder literally just means you own a very small part of a company. So when the company does well, you do well. But if the company does poorly, then you lose money. So when it comes to investing, you can invest in stocks, which are individual stocks. So like maybe you want to own a part of Apple or own a part of Walmart, right? So you can invest in individual companies. That is risky. It's risky. If you invested in Apple in 1980, well, or whenever Apple's in 80 or 90s, that would have been a great investment, but you would have had no idea of knowing that it was actually a good investment, which is why it's a much safer bet to invest in what's called index funds. And index funds are like, imagine like you have a purse and you have all these different things inside the purse, or any bag, I guess, any bag you want, but there's a whole different things inside the bag, right? So that bag is the index fund, and inside the index fund, all the different items, those are different companies. So instead of investing in one company, you're investing in a whole lot of companies. So if you lose one item out of the bag, or if one company does poorly, you still have the bag. You still got that whole bag with all the other things inside. So it's not going to ruin your whole life or ruin, your whole day just because you lost that one item, or, just because that one company did bad. When it comes to how or where to invest, if you have an employer who has a retirement plan, either something like a 401k or a 403b, use them. Start with them, particularly if they have a company match. If they have a company match, that is essentially free money. So start investing there. And then once you are able to invest regularly and meet the match, then you can invest inside of an IRA. And if you're able to max out the IRA, then you can double back to that retirement plan and max that out. And then if you still got money left over, you can invest inside of a brokerage account. So It would take a lot of money to be able to do all that. It's definitely possible. Like, there's people who do it, but it does take a lot of money to be able to max out all those different accounts every year. So if you can't do all that, don't feel bad. Just do what you can do. Start where you're at. And the last chapter talks about freedom. So she is a part of a community called FIRE. If you've never heard of that, it's an acronym. It stands for Financially Independent Retire Early. And it's a movement of people who want to retire. And retirement can look different depending on what you want. You can either retire so that you have the choice to work the type of job you want to work and what you love doing, no matter what it pays. Maybe what you love doesn't pay enough to, finance your lifestyle. So there's a version of financial freedom, which means you can choose whichever job you want. Or financial freedom to you may look like, I don't want to work at all. I just want to be completely retired. And that's okay too. So you can pick which version of financial freedom you want to do. But the FIRE community, there's different ways to achieve FIRE. First, you need to decide what is your retirement number, how much you need to have in investments before you can retire. The way you find that out is take the number that is the amount that you need annually, like the total number of your annual expenses. For easy math, let's just say that you need $50,000 annually to live. So you would take $50,000 and you would multiply it by 25, which means in that scenario, you would need $1,250,000 in retirement before you can officially retire. If you're thinking like, I got some work to do, you are not alone, because I got some work to do too. And honestly, I feel like I would want more than $50,000 a year to live off of. So I really got some work to do. And there's different ways to achieve FIRE. So one is lean FIRE, which means you are extremely frugal. You cut out every single dollar that you don't need in expenses, and you use all of your disposable income to invest. And these are people who want to retire like in their 30s. So in their 20s, they are living very small as they can, so that they can invest and then eventually retire early in life, like really early, like in their 30s. Or if you are someone who's starting to invest later in life, maybe you too have a shorter timeline of when you want to retire. Like if you are 45 and you want to retire by the time you're 55, then you may also do lean FIRE. There's something called coast FIRE, and that means kind of similar to lean, but you're investing a lot of money up front so that one day you can just stop investing. You're not retired yet, but you stop investing so that compound interest can take over and you don't have to invest anything else, but compound interest will still get you to that number, that 1.2 million. And then there's something called slow FIRE. So these are people who do want to retire early, so they are prioritizing investments, but at the same time, they also want to do things that bring joy into their life. So maybe they still want to travel, maybe they still want to have a home, like have a nice home, maybe they still want to go to concerts, whatever it is, right? Like they still want to be able to do those things. They just do them in moderation because at the same time they are also investing. So whichever one you pick, that is perfectly fine. It's a very individual, customized decision. You have to do what's best for you. And that's why when we were talking about what is your ideal life, that is where this will come in handy, because not everybody wants to retire at 30. Not everybody wants to retire at 40. Some people really love what they do and they see no issue retiring at like a normal age or an average age. And then other people hate working and they do not dream of labor. So they are trying to get out as soon as they possibly can. So you have to decide what type of life you want, and then also decide when you are retired, what type of lifestyle will you live, right? Do you want to live in New York City? Do you want to live in the middle of Iowa, right? Whichever one you pick is you're gonna need a different number depending on which one you pick. So pick what's best for you. So those are the biggest takeaways that I found from the book. I really enjoyed reading it. It's a quick read. It's less than 200 pages, I believe. It's only 8 chapters. It goes by really fast. So I would encourage you to read it. Each chapter also has like steps that you can do in order to achieve the things that they just talked about in that chapter. So it's very easy to read, easy to understand, and easy to implement the steps that she talks about. Let me know if you enjoy this format of the book club, or if you would rather discuss the books in a different way. Like, let me know if you ever want to do a live video instead where we discuss the books, or any other things that you may think you'd be interested in. So let me know what you thought about the book and how you like this book club so far in the comments down below. And make sure you like the video, and I'll see you next time. Bye.